I don't remember seeing her again.
Just before Micah reaches her, Jessica succumbs to the elements and sinks from view.
And a wave broke. Once that wave broke and I went under, I just determined, all right, I'm gonna be underwater till I find her.
I'm in 39 State Reserve. It's a guy right here calling for help because his girlfriend is looking at the water.
Okay, hold on the line, please. Hold on the line.
Two young swimmers, Jessica and Troy Lee, have been sucked 50 yards offshore. This amateur video shows Jessica struggling in the current.
There's a second person out there that no one can see.
The other guy went under.
Yes.
Okay.
The calls we were getting from our dispatch that were 911 relays were that there were two victims, a male and a female. A male had gone out after the female. I expected to see two people out in front of Tower 2. That's where they were reporting it. By the time we get down to the hill, we could see someone out in the water. The sun was in our eyes. There was a lot of glare. So we could just see two dark objects in the middle of the rip. It wasn't until we got closer that we noticed that one of those was not a body, it was actually a bodyboard.
Catherine continues to scan the water for the second victim, while Micah grabs his fins and sprints after Jessica.
The first thought that came over my mind was, oh my God, somebody's drowning. We knew we had to act fast.
Get one heading that way.
I knew it was going to be quite some distance. I remember looking down at the speedometer at one point, and the speed was faster than I've ever seen it.
Micah paddles through 53-degree water with 3-foot waves crashing all around him.
I had a general idea of where she was. She was out towards the end of the rip. But the problem in the rip current, there's times where you're not able to see what's ahead of you. So a lot of that, I was trying to swim with my head up as much as I can. And every time, I was kind of at the crest of a wave, I'm looking to see if I could see where she was. I was able to keep an eye on the boogie board for most of it. I only remember seeing her one last time before I got to the boogie board. I don't remember seeing her again.
Just before Micah reaches her, Jessica succumbs to the elements and sinks from view.
I remember thinking, this is my last chance, I've got to find her. And a wave broke. Once that wave broke and I went under, I just determined, all right, I'm gonna be underwater till I find her.
In a desperate maneuver, Micah dives toward the bottom.
She's underwater in this direction somewhere. And so I just kind of had my eyes open. To me, it felt like a long time that I was under the water. I noticed a body and it was just going down, 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 down. I grabbed a hold of her under her armpits and then just kicked for the surface, popped up, and I was just trying to keep her airway open, signaled for help.
70 yards offshore, Micah treads water in the cold, pounding surf. Without a free arm to swim, the rip current pulls the two of them farther out to sea.
I was just praying to God, get this girl, get me out of here, get us back to the shore.
Lifeguard Catherine Graham is scanning the water for the other victim as San Diego lifeguards Eric Kerr and Lance Mendoza pull up to the scene.
I was driving, so I just looked for the closest spot to where people were waving. I pulled in and just put the brakes on as fast as I can. Sergeant Kerr jumped off, grabbed the surfboard, and scurried down the rocks like a madman.
With secondary lifeguards now on scene, Catherine sprints into the water.
Catherine knew once she had all the resources in place that she could come and assist me.
Okay, I'm seeing a lifeguard going in there in the water right now.
Okay, good.
The rangers are about to go in the water too.
Great. And Francisco, we will have all kinds of resources there shortly, so you're helping quite a bit. Stay on the line.
Okay.
I was paddling up to the victim, going as fast as I could. As I got closer, I could tell he had one of the victims on the surface.
I knew that at some point Catherine was gonna get to me, but as soon as Eric paddled up on that board, I just remember thinking, this is, okay, awesome, we gotta get this girl on this board.
I could tell that she was certainly unconscious, and I could see her airway was filled with vomit, seawater. Just gave her one strong ventilation, turned her on her side. All that air came back out and blew vomit, seawater out.
The victim is barely alive. With time running out, Eric Kerr paddles her toward the shoreline.
As I got about halfway to the beach, our jet ski, which was also responding, came on scene.
She was unconscious. She was lifeless. We knew that we had seconds to get her breathing again, get her to onto the beach to give her a heartbeat again.
I just told Captain, get her into shore as fast as you can. I'll stay out here and keep looking for this second person that I was told was out here.
With the drowned girl now on the beach, medics go to work trying to resuscitate her.
We got to the beach, and she was just a limp, unconscious person at the time.
As medics prepare to transport Jessica Ung, lifeguards head back out in search of Troy Lee.
We knew we had to get back in the water, that we needed to find him immediately.
Micah Moore is still frantically searching the 53-degree water.
Francisco,
Yeah.
the last place that you saw the woman, I want you to etch that in your mind, and I want you to try to remember exactly the last place you saw her. You've already helped us save one person. Now we want to try to help her.
So when I arrived on scene, I became the incident commander. I found 5 or 6 different witnesses, and I immediately tried to interview those people to try to get as much information as I could.
Lifeguard and peace officer Ed Vadroska determines the point last seen and initiates a full-scale sweep of the water.
We started a full-fledged Codex emergency where we try to saturate the water with as many divers as we possibly can to try to find the other victim.
As the search for Troy Lee continues, Jessica arrives at a local hospital. There, she slips into a coma, and doctors do not expect her to survive the night. It's been over an hour since the 911 call, and still no sign of Troy Lee.
The sun had set, and with the waves and currents and the lack of light, just operationally there wasn't much more that could be done.
Rescue operations have come to an end. The next morning, Vadroska leads the recovery efforts.
We put 60 divers in the water. In the next 2 days, covered an expansive area here, all the way down to the bluff edge down there, probably 3/4 of a mile of ocean, and we were unable to locate his body.
3 days after that tragic night, lifeguards receive an update on Jessica's condition. Miraculously, she defied all odds and came out of her coma. Today, she returns to Torrey Pines to meet with Ed Vadroska, the incident commander of that fateful rescue.
Have you gone into the ocean since the event?
I came a couple of times right after I got out of the hospital. Just kind of put my toes in the water. That's about it. I'm still a little afraid to go out there. I remember it was a really warm day. It's really sunny, a really beautiful day. I went to the beach with my friend Troy. We had one boogie board. I had the first turn. I went out there. When the wave came, I was barely hanging on, and it just ripped out of my hands. After struggling, I knew it was impossible for me to get the boogie board, so I just tried to stay up until someone could come get me.
The lifeguards were gone for the day, but her friend Troy Lee recognized the danger.
He saw that I was in trouble, so he was waving his arms, screaming for help.
Witness statements report that Troy Lee entered the water in an effort to save Jessica, but was swiftly pulled out by the rip current. He never reached his friend.
I couldn't get my whole head or my shoulders out of the water anymore. It was just my face. So the last thing I remember seeing was looking up to the sky, and that was all that I could see. I felt that I was going to die.
Thanks to an incredible collaborative effort between California State Beach Lifeguards and San Diego Lifeguards, Jessica was pulled from the water and brought to shore. She spent 3 days in a coma and miraculously survived. It was a bittersweet rescue. 18-year-old Troy Lee lost his life trying to save Jessica. Several days were spent searching for him, but his body was never recovered.
I woke up in the hospital, and the first thing I thought about was him. I wanted him to know that I was okay. And I had no idea that he went in the water. I thought he was completely fine because the last thing I saw, he was on the shore.